Hey guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, I'm going to be teaching you an original tune that I wrote, which I'm calling A Forest Stroll. Now, this was a song that was inspired by the walks I do in our local park, and there's a very wooded section, so it literally feels like you're in a forest, and I wanted to call it a forest stroll instead of a walk in the park, well, because one sounds really, really magical and dreamy-esque and fantasy-like, and the other one, not so much. So I hope you dig the title. Now, as far as a playing piece, this is, I'm going to say, perfect for the seasoned beginner. It's not super duper hard, but there are some things in it that are going to be a little bit challenging for that playing level. So if that's where you're at, I think this is going to be a great piece for you. So let's go ahead and just take a step back though. Let's talk a little bit about this lesson before we jump into learning it. Now, in this video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to play the entire tune. But if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for A Forest Stroll. Now, also on that page will be the interactive on-screen tab viewer. So this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tabs scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you want. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. So a couple things to cover before we jump into it. The big elephant in the room is that this song is for low G. So make sure you grab the low G ukulele to follow along. Now, the second thing I want to touch on is our right hand approach for fingerpicking. This song sets itself up perfectly for a 4-finger approach. So that literally means that your thumb gets string 4, index gets string 3, middle gets string 2, ring gets string 1. That's what I'd recommend, although you could use a 3-finger approach. So thumb would get double duty, string 4 and 3, index gets string 2, middle gets string 1. But as you see when we jump into measure number 1, that this song sets itself up perfectly for a 4-finger approach. So if we look at measure 1, you can see right off the bat that we are literally picking our way straight down this G suspended chord. Hence the reason why I think this song is perfect for that 4-finger approach. So let's go ahead and do this, guys. Let's make the basic stock G chord, lift your middle finger up, and that gives us an open A. This is the chord that we want to be playing out of, which is a G suspended 2. So we're going to go ahead and just play straight down it. So we have 4, 3, 2, open A. Now, here's the kicker. When you see that open A, you see that it's tied to beat 3. So we're going to hold it out for a quarter note. So we have 1 and 2 and 3. Now on the end of 3, we're going to take that middle finger, put it back down so it looks like a basic G, and we're going to pluck that 2nd fret of string 1. So all together we have, okay, if we count it, we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And you can hear and see that that last note carries us through the remainder of the bar. So let's see if we can try this one together. So 2 ways that we can approach it. We can count it like 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Or you could also sing it. Bum ba da da da. So it's a very catchy little rhythm, right? Very catchy little melody. Ba da 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 da. So if you can get that stuck in your head, it makes it so much easier to play. But let's try it together. We'll count us in and we'll play it together. We'll go nice and slow. So we have 3, 4. Nice. Now, as we take a look at measure 2, take a look at what happens. The only difference is a little variation at the tail end of this bar. So you can see that we start the same. But when we get to that 2nd fret on string 1, we're not stopping there. We're actually going to play a couple more notes. Okay, so let's start out plucking the same 4, 3, 2, 1, and we hold that into beat 3. On the end of 3, we put that middle finger down, and we're going to pluck that note, but pull off to the open A, and then play string 2. So all together, sounds and looks like that. Let's see if we can try that together. 3, 4. Nice. And if we backtrack, let's see if we can try 1 into 2. So we have 3, 4. Pretty cool, pretty simple so far, right? Now, here's where it gets a little bit trickier. If we look at 3 and 4, we've got a little bit of more movement happening in measure 4, and then in measure 3, we've got a tricky little chord that we've got to play out of. So we're taking this song and we're playing now a G minor. So we started out with this kind of major sound, right? And now we're going to a more minor sound. So it's kind of a mode mixture that's happening, which makes it sound a little bit dreamy, right? So perfect for the title of Forest Stroll. So a little whimsical, magical kind of sound. Now to make this chord, we're going to take the middle finger, put it on the 3rd fret of string 4. Index is the 2nd fret of string 3. Ring finger is the 3rd fret of string 2, pinky's underneath it, so 3 on string 1. So take a moment, just get comfortable with that. It's a little tricky because you've got to use all 4 fingers, but playing wise, just walking straight down. So 4, 3, 2, 1. So if we tried that together, guys, we have 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So you can hear that once you get to string 1, just let it linger and sustain for the rest of the bar. Now, the part that we want to really focus on is the transition from measure 3 into measure 4, because it's a little bit tricky. So here's what's going to happen. Even though you guys can see the A minor 9 chord shape, I think it's on this side of me, even though you can see it on the screen already, I want you to make the transition this way. So I want you to keep this G minor chord fretted, and all I want you to do for right now is to focus on finger 2 and finger 1. So I want you to lift finger 2 and then move finger 1 up to the 2nd fret of string 4. So you can see that I have 2, 0, 3, 3. So it's not exactly what A minor 9 says right there. So keep that in mind for right now. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to pluck out of this. I want you to go string 4, 3, 2. At this point, I want you to lift that pinky up, put the middle finger down to the 2nd fret of string 1, and play that note. And that gives us the shape that we see up here on the screen, right? A minor 9. Now, why did I want you to not add the middle finger until that part of the music, right? The end of 2 for bar 4. And the answer is to make the transition easier and to increase our sustain. So if we backtrack to the beginning of bar 3, watch my pinky. You can see that it gets lifted up and that middle finger goes down on that 2nd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the A string on the end of beat 2 in bar 4. So it's going to make the transition of what your left hand has to do easier, because we don't have to do literally all that movement on beat 1 of bar 4. We don't have to do it all from the get-go. But secondly, it increases that melody note, because you can hear that melody note just walks down 3 to 2 on string 1. So it increases that beautiful melody sustain. So that's what we really want to have. We want to hear that in our playing. So keep that in mind as you do this transition. So again, we're starting with 2, 0, 3, 3, and we're just going to go 4, 3, 2. At that point, lift the pinky up, put the middle finger down on the 2nd fret of string 1. And here's where it gets a little bit trickier. So you've got a double pull-off. So I want you to put the pinky finger back down and pluck 1 time, pull off to the 2nd fret, pull off to the open A, and then hit string 2, which is the 3rd fret. So that's been fretted the entire time. So the second half of this bar is a little bit trickier, okay? So let's see if we can try that. You may want to just hit pause and just go, just to practice it. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you can just practice that. But if you feel good with it, let's see if we can try it together. So we have 3, 4. Nice. And if we backtrack, let's try 3 into 4. So we have 3, 4. Nice. Now I'm going to go ahead and play 1 through 4, but 1 through 4 is pretty much the musical theme that you have to get memorized, because as we see when we start 5, 6, 7, and 8, it's pretty much the same stuff that we're playing out of, but just variations thrown in to spice it up. So here's what 1 through 4 sounds like. So that's a good gist of what we've got so far. Now, 5 and 6, if we take a look at it, you can already see that it's pretty much the same as 1 and 2. We just are jazzing it up a bit. So pretty cool, right? So some nice little frills thrown in there. So go ahead and start with that G sus2 again, and you can see right off the bat that we're playing the first 3/4 identical to what we did in bar 1. So that again is 4, 3, 2, 1, 2nd fret. Now at this point you're going to do 2 down or 2 strums, but down and up. So you have just simple down and up. So together, sounds and looks like that. Let's see if we can try it together. So we have 3, 4. Really, really simple stuff, right? Now, going into the next measure, measure 6, we start the same. So we have the exact same 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 2nd fret. But here's where it gets a little bit tricky. So you're going to do 1 down strum with the G sus2. And you're going to do a quick hammer-on pull-off. So that middle finger, watch that middle finger. So it's very quick. So you can see that that's a triplet. It's a 16th note triplet. It happens, all 3 of those hits happen on beat 4. Then on the end of 4, you're back to the 8th note, just to hit string 2. So sounds and looks like that. So for right now, just take it slow. And just try to keep it nice and even. 1, 2, 3. So we're gonna go strum the G sus, hammer, pull off to open A. So to keep that nice and even. 1, 2, 3, triple it. 1, 2, 3, triple it. Just nice and even. So you don't want to have some kind of weird rhythm where one is longer, one is shorter. You just want to have it nice and even. Just like that. And eventually you'll speed it up too. Okay, so after you do that strum and hammer on pull off, it's a lot to say, play string 2. Now, when we put it into the rhythm, we can kind of feel that beat. Right, so ba-do-do-da-do-da-do-do. Counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so take that nice and slow. What we can do for this one, maybe just put it on a little loop. Okay, so there's 4 times through on a little loop, and what you guys can do too, if that's too fast, you can use the little cog in the YouTube player to slow it down and play at a better speed for you. But loop is always a great way to practice tricky things. Most of the time when we do lessons, we're always going, let's try 3, 4, 1, and 2, and right, we're playing it together, and you play it one time through. But sometimes you just need to do it over and over again, rinse and repeat kind of approach. So take that idea for any measure that's really tricky. You can always loop it to get extra practice just back to back to back. Now, at this point, let me show you guys 5 into 6, and then we're going to try it together. So it sounds like this. So let's give that one a shot. So we have 3, 4. Nice. Now, going into measure 7 and 8, if we take a look at it, we can see that it's almost identical to 3 and 4. So what's the changes? If we look at 7, we have 4, 3, 2 down strum on that G minor chord. So that's the only difference, is we're ending with a strum. So 1 and 2 strum, and then we hold it out for the rest of the bar. Then for measure 8, when we switch to the A minor 9, we're going to not play the very last note. So instead you're just hanging on that open A to end it. So let's see if we can try 7 and 8 together, since they're so similar to 3 and 4. So we have 3, 4. Nice. Now, at this point, let me do this, guys. Let me play 5 through 8, and then we'll take a listen to 1 through 8. So here's 5 through 8. Okay, and then 1 through 8. Nice. So you can hear 5 through 8 just kind of develops it. It's like telling a story, right? We don't want to have an intro followed by another intro. We want to have an intro followed by a middle section, which hopefully is followed by a ending, right? So we want it to flow like a good story. Now, that's everything for melody A. So as we go into melody B, we're going to kind of change the feel, right? We're going to have a little bit of a different sounding vibe. And melody B, if you've ever played the Bon Jovi tune, Wanted Dead or Alive, it's got a really cool guitar intro that plays off of thirds, the interval of thirds, and it's really, really cool sounding little guitar intro. That's kind of a little bit of inspiration for this B melody, so I might have ripped off the idea from that, although who knows where Richie Sambora got the idea for that intro from, so we all borrow from each other. But let me go ahead and do this. Let's put up measure 9 and 10, and then I'm going to go ahead and just play through this so we can hear and see what's happening. And I can tell you off the bat that it looks harder than it really is. Alright, so here's what it sounds like. So a really cool sounding melody. So it's got this droning sound of that open G, and then it's got those intervals of those thirds just kind of walking up, and the slides really give it that legato sound that just give it such a cool connecting vibe instead of just, right, if you were to pluck every single note, it just doesn't have that smoothness to it that a slide technique does. So let's go ahead and break down what's happening. Now we're going to be playing out of a couple shapes. The first one is going to be on string 3 and string 1. So I want you to take your middle finger, put it on the 10th fret of string 3. Ring finger is the 10th fret of string 1. We're starting with an open G, so just go ahead and hit that, let it linger and ring out. Then we're going to play string 3, string 1, and then string 3. At this point, you're going to do the first slide up. But when you slide up, even though you're sliding and you're playing just this third string, like that, I want you to keep this finger planted on that 10th fret, and you're just going to slide up with it to the 12th fret. But you can see that my right hand is only plucking string 3. So altogether I have 4, 3, 1, 3, slide. Okay? All eighth notes, keep it nice and steady. 1 and 2 and 3. So try that with me. Here we go. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Let's try it one more time, and try not to hit that open G so loud like I just did. We want it to ring out, but we don't want it to overpower. So 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3. Nice. Now you're on double 12, so 3 and 1 still, so string 3 and 1. At this point, you're going to play the first string, then the open G again, and then we're going to switch our hand to get ready to go into our second shape that we're going to be playing out of. So move that index finger down to the 8th fret, and we'll talk about the second shape in just a second. Don't you just love English language where the same word means different things? Okay, so let's backtrack. Let's cover everything again. So back to double 10. So we have O, 10, 10, slide, 12, O, 8. Okay, let's do that together. So we have 3, 4. Nice. At this point, you're going to slide up to 10, and then here's where our second shape starts. Take that ring finger, put it on 13 on string 1. So keep your index finger planted on 10 on string 2, 13 on string 1 with the ring. This is our second shape, and you can see that our second shape will go up to 12 and 15, so up a whole step. But before we do that, let's stay with 10 and 13, and we're going to go ahead and play string 1, and then open G, then pluck the second string, and slide up. This time around, I want you to lift the ring finger up and just slide the index and then put the ring finger back down to 15 on string 1. So I think it's just a little bit hard to do this slide, especially if you have a non-cutaway like I do not have right here. So if you want to make it a little bit easier for your left hand, I think it's okay to lift up and not worry about keeping the shape intact like we did for the first shape. Right, that's a little bit easier, but when you don't have the cutaway, our hand just kind of hits the body a little bit, and it's a little tricky. So, backtracking again, let's go ahead and take it from the end of 4 in beat 9. Let me play what this 10th bar sounds like. Okay, so get that stuck in your head. Just like that. Watch how I've lifted up and put it back down, but you can see it's still the same shape, right? Still the same shape number 2. So backtrack with me to the end of 4, bar 9, 8 to 10 slide, put the ring down, play 13, open G, hit string 2, slide to 12, and then put the ring down, hit 15. So take a moment, just practice that, because it's a little tough. But when you've got it down, let's see if we can try it together. So we're going to start on the end of 4. So we have 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... There we go. Putting it together sounds like this. Let's try that. So we have 3, 4. Nice. So I think the hardest thing is just to keep it steady with the timing, to get the melodies to ring out, and to have a nice balance with that droning G. So we want it to ring out but not overpower the melody notes. So that might be the hardest passage of the tune. That might require the most practice. But let's go ahead and move on now. Let's take a look at 11, and 12. So it gets a little bit easier here and a little bit more sparse. You can see that for 11, we only have a handful of notes. So for 11, we're going to start with our ring finger on the 12th fret of string 1. We're going to play that note with the open C. So we want this open C to ring out and sustain over these melody notes we're about to learn. So start with the ring, 12 on the A string, play that with the open C, pull off to 10 with the middle finger. After that, I want you to move it down to the 8th fret, play that note, and then use the index to play 7. So sounds and looks like that. It's a little tricky with this pull off, but not too bad. Let's see if we can try it together, all eighths. 1 and 2 and 3, go. Now for bar 12, we're going to go ahead and pretty much start where we left off. So for this one, I want you guys to take the pinky finger and you're going to put it down on the 10th fret of string 1. This time around, we're going to play that note plus the open E. That's going to be the string that sustains and rings over these next melody notes. So 10 with the pinky on string 1 plus the open E. Pull off to the 8th fret, which is going to be your middle finger, and then play 7. And we're going to pluck that, and that'll be our index finger. Okay, so just take a second, work on those first 3 hits. You can see it's all 8th notes, 1 and 2. Now at this point, we're going to take this index finger, we're going to move down to 3, then we're going to stack a chord above it. So take the middle finger, put it on 5 on string 3, ring underneath it, 5 on string 2. We're going to pluck this F chord. After we pluck it, we're going to hold it into the next beat, and then we're going to move it up to a G. So same shape, we're just going up to 7, 7, 5. So we had 5, 5, 3, move it up to 7, 7, 5. Together that looks like this. Now rhythmically it's a little tricky at the end. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So it's a bit syncopated. So try to memorize that. Ba-da-da-da-da. Right? So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Alright? Let's see if we can try that together. So we have 3, 4. Nice. Now if I play 11 into 12, it sounds like this. And if you and I try together, let's give that a shot. Here we go. 3, 4. Nice. Now if I backtrack, I'm going to go ahead and just play these first 4 bars so we can hear 9, 10, 11, 12. So the first 4 bars of this B melody. And this is where we're at, guys. Now here's the cool thing. When you get to that end of measure 12 where we just stopped, that was ending number 1. So you're literally going to go back, you're going to play those first 3 bars. To a T. So 9, 10, 11. Then you're going to jump into ending number 2, so measure 13. And what do you notice? It's almost identical to measure 12. The only difference is you have 1 extra hit. So for beat 4, you're going to strum that G chord down. So you already know how to play this. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. 3, 4. Now take note that there's a above that last chord hit. That's a fermata. So we're going to hold it out. That chord, we're going to hold it out and let it sustain for as long as we want before we jump back into the A melody, because you can see that it says DS al coda above that measure. So that literally means that we're going to go back to the side and play till it says Dakota. So instead of putting all this tab up on screen, that literally means that we're going to go back to the A melody, so measure 1, and we're going to play measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 again. And instead of playing measure 8, we're going to jump to this one, measure 24. So this measure, you guys are going to go ahead and notice that it's identical to a T to measure 4. The only difference is that it says RIT, retardando, above it. So this is the ending of our tune. So when you get to this bar, we just want to slow down gradually. So just practice that with me. So you have 4, 3, 2, 1, pull off. Just kind of natural, gradual slow down. And then we go into the last bar of the tune. It's just a really cool pull-off hammer-on of a G chord. So make the G chord, and I want you to strum it, and I want you to pull off to the open A, and then hammer back on to that second fret. And the key thing here is that we just want it to be fast. Just like that. Okay, so just practice that. Getting it to be da-da-da. Right, it's a cliche little ending that we've heard a million times in our life, but it works really, really well. That's why we keep using it, right? If I play these last 2 bars together, you can kind of hear that retardando. And I'll tell you what, I'll take it back. I'll start on 5, 6, 7, measure 14, measure 25, so we can hear a little bit more context for the ending of melody A, ending of the song. Sounds like this. Pretty cool, right? So that's everything, guys. There's not a ton of music. There were 15 bars in this tune, but a couple of them were identical and some were like slight little variations. So there wasn't a ton of music to learn in this song. But again, I think it's a really great piece for the seasoned beginner player. So there's a few little things that are tricky, kind of like those shapes that we had to move at the start of B melody, some of the hammer-on pull-off licks that were in this tune. They're a little bit tricky. So a couple areas that require a bit of practice. But above all, a really great seasoned beginner piece, and one that you can play if you want something a little bit whimsical to showcase. So guys, I do want to go ahead and wrap up by giving you a friendly reminder that if you wanted to get the tabs to print off, keep for your records, that was available at this link right here. Or you can go to the site, rockclass101.com, do a search for a forest stroll. And also on that page, you can use the interactive on-screen tab viewer. So a really cool feature where you can literally hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed. Just a great asset for learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so again, I hope you enjoyed this. I loved writing it, super fun tune for me to compose, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed learning it. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to write them in the YouTube description box, or you can't write in the description box, write your comments in the comment box below, or you can always email me or post questions on our forum. Alright guys, again, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to end because I'm rambling, and I'll catch you in the next lesson. Take care.